Hello, my name is Dr. Jeff Essen. I'm the president of the International Holistic Health Alliance. I'd like to welcome you to our exploration of the IHHA Academy's naturopathic course. I'm going to guide you through a few basic concepts and make sure you understand what's going on in our school, what your participation would be, and how it would look as you went through the program. It is, of course, an online education at this point. That's where we are nowadays with education. So I need to go into my Zoom thing and make sure that we get the share screen on. This is going to become the new norm. So I just have to kind of get in here and make sure we get this right. So I'm going to share my screen now with you. Um, this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to turn that on. There's all these buttons to push. This shows how old I am. I only encountered Zoom midlife, let's just say. So here we go. We talk about the IHHA's naturopathic curriculum. We are the International Holistic Health Alliance is the body that was originally developed with a group of people whose goal and mission was to make sure that we put forth scientific-based information, evidence-based information, that we can demonstrate that natural medicine has a place in people's lives and that natural medicine practice can be something that's as legitimate as any other version of healthcare. So we'd like to just make sure that people understand that the IHHA is all about the idea of we only want the best for our patients. We don't really care how we have to do it or who we have to do it with. We want to make sure that we follow the guidelines of natural medicine. First, do no harm, treat the whole person, and remove the toxin. That's the simplest breakdown of what naturopathic medicine is. Now, there's, of course, lots of ways to do that. We're going to explore that within the school, but here's how we are going to go about this process. So we would then uh, have people come into our school from any walk of life. We want everybody and anybody who chooses to go into natural medicine so that if they have a big heart, they want to heal people, they have a good academic desire to learn, we could take somebody from zero knowledge all the way through the whole process. The beginnings of that knowledge, though, what we are going to require for people is this idea of a core curriculum. Core curriculum is the idea where we are going to need to make sure that somebody has a good background in the basics of the body. So things like metabolism, physiology, all these things, the drainage systems, nervous system, circulatory system, endocrine system, these are things that you cannot not know about. These are the basic fundamentals that you would encounter on a daily basis. These are things that you need to have working knowledge of how they perform, how they're interconnected, how each thing does its job in the body is absolutely essential to the practice of natural medicine. So we're going to make sure you have that. Now, that core curriculum can come from an outside source too. Somebody could already walk into our naturopathic school with a previous base of knowledge, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But that's something that we just want to make sure that these things are covered in our basics. Now, there are 3 holistic healthcare practitioner courses offered by the IHHA. We have one that's a systems-based, how each system works, what's the function and metabolism of each thing that is working with. I happen to teach that course. We have a, a model of what's called hands-on practice. There are people who are coming into our school that may be from a background of massage, other versions of body work, who would like to still put their hands on people and administer some version of therapy. So we've developed a 4-part hands-on course that would qualify as an HHP. And then there's the profiler course, the health profiler course, which gets into if somebody's health is going in this direction, here's what day-to-day things, those things that we could do to just kind of set them back online. And by using these different systems and addressing problems and taking care of things like diet, exercise, hydration, and so on. That's another version of how we could get somebody to HHP. Now, of course, we are entertaining degrees presented by other organizations. We're happy to welcome people with a nutritional therapy practitioner certificate from the Nutritional Therapy Association. We also have a partner in our ASIRA group, the Quest 4 group, that also does an extensive training with their electrodermal screening device as part of their learning how to use that device. They've learned a lot. So we would allow them to say, hey, you've got your learning already. You don't need to take an HHP. Others, the board will simply take your application and say, maybe with an interview, we'd say, well, we feel that you have enough knowledge. Let's go ahead and just skip the HHP. Let's dive right in. or we might say this is necessary to make sure you get some more information. Let's do NHHP instead. So either way, we want to make sure you get the bases covered, whether that's from our internal courses or from an outside source. Either way is fine with us. We just want to get you in the program. Now, titles that are automatically accepted would be something like a medical doctor, nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, some of the nursing degrees, LPN, registered nurse, licensed acupuncturists would know plenty about how the system works. Other naturopaths, I know several naturopaths who have multiple naturopathic degrees just because they want to learn more and they're just avid learners and they can't get enough. So, hey, come on in. Know a lot of chiropractors who would like to add on the naturopathic degree onto their doctor of chiropractic. And again, anybody who comes to us and says, I have this level of expertise in this particular kind of medicine and I'd like to be a naturopath, we're going to just do an interview with you and say, does it seem like you know enough to enter our program? And if you do, we'd happily welcome you in. Otherwise, again, we'll guide you into the right set of knowledge to get there. So the naturopathic course structure is like that. Then we start off with the core curriculum. Again, some people are going to need to take a course. Other people can jump right in with what they already know. Then there's going to be the required courses. That's our next slide. I'll cover those. Then there's the advanced specialization. Then we go to a clinical internship and thesis class that finishes off the education to bring the student up to a high level of expertise and education in one particular subject matter. I think this is the add-on that as we were forming this course outline, we really looked at this and said, we want a person graduating from our school to really have some sort of verified, I am an expert in something, that they've written a paper and they've delved into the science and they've supported the information and that they really understand it from top to bottom, that person then having gone through that, they can then become an expert in anything should they put their mind and time and attention to. So the basic courses, giving you a foundational understanding. This is we cannot teach anybody everything there is to know about a subject matter, but we want to get you the basics of any given subject matter. The needed, and especially those things that are more practical to how do you practice with this day to day. When somebody comes into your office, how does this enter into the picture as far as the basic information goes, and some practical modalities, maybe some hints of how you would apply these things, dosing, application types, contraindications, all the things that you need to know about a subject matter. Now, those subject matters are energetic systems. So we need to understand that there are electrical communication systems in the body, commonly known as the chakras and the meridians. There are also other versions of energetic communication pathways that need to be understood to understand how the body sends messages. And those messages are critical to the function and metabolism of the body. We're then going to dive into evaluative methods. This includes chemical testing processes like blood tests, hair saliva tests, stool sampling, all the different kind of metabolic testing methods where we're measuring the chemistry and metabolism of the body. We're trying to understand how you could look at this from a lab value point of view. And a lot of this is done by the standard medical model to the point where then they have a language around this. And you need to understand that language if you're going to be in practice. Many people walk in your door. They will have a blood test that was just run. You need to be able to understand the basics of that. And we're going to even teach you how to read it in such a way that was called functional norms in terms of some of the blood tests that would actually be more insightful from a nutritional point of view, what those blood values might mean. The second half of the evaluative methods class is more of the biofeedback testing. And all the people who are involved in the IHHA's Academy are all experts in this biofeedback. And this is commonly known as electrodermal screening. Basically, fundamental idea behind this is you send a stimulus into the body and measure the response. Now, that can vary, and there's lots of different methodologies and hundreds of different machines that do that. But the point is we're going to teach you the basics of how to do that kind of evaluative methodology too. So we're going to do the chemical measurement as well as the bioenergetic measurement. We're then going to get into diet and nutrition. Of course, that's the foundation for most of what natural health is all about. We have to get the basic fundamentals of proper diet, inoffensive foods, and fill the nutritional void that most people have. Dietary planning, coaching people on the right kinds of nutrition, and not even just what they're eating, but how they might eat it, when they might eat it, to quantities of what they might eat, patterns. So diet nutrition is a major course for us, and we started you off there to start off with. If you did nothing but diet and nutrition with people, you've already done a good bit of what that patient needs. Essential oils is a very exciting thing for me. I've always loved essential oils. We have an expert teaching on this, and that course is going to be full of knowledge. And if you're afraid of essential oils because of the chemistry, trust me, the instructor here will make that chemistry very doable. You don't have to be afraid of understanding chemistry top to bottom. You'll understand essential oils from top to bottom, and you'll get this whole idea of clinical applications, how one would test for them, how to select an oil, how to apply the oil. Very, very extensive knowledge on essential oils. And again, it's a very, very powerful methodology. We'll get into herbalism, and herbalism is an expanding market with all kinds of new herbs coming onto the scene. We want to understand that herbs are both incredible benefactors, but we also have to be a bit careful with them because all herbs have some version of potential overdose. So we've got to look at those and say, well, hey, herbs need to be, you need to be this expert. You need to be that person who understands them, and you need to understand where that herb is coming from and why would it develop its own chemistry. And then as we ingest that chemistry, how does that influence our metabolism and systems? So that's where herbs are a very powerful thing and have been the traditional use of natural medicine since humans were humans. Herbs were the first medicine that anybody had. So and it's very exciting because there's all kinds of new things coming around all the time. We've got some wonderful friends that can help teach us this class. Homeopathy is one of the more recent additions to the natural health world, in that it was only instituted in the late 1890s. And in that case, then homeopathy is the energy medicine of the herbal world. In other words, we capture the energy of an herb or a mineral, or actually sometimes animal systems, and we're able to then provide the frequency of a thing to stimulate the body to respond. There's a concept within, it's called like cures like, meaning that it's almost like an antidote, or in the theoretical model, like a vaccine. You introduce a small signal and have the body respond to that small signal. It's very important for us to be able to take that instruction set and give the body the blueprint for going towards health. Very useful in cases for small children, for animals, for elderly adults, people who can't handle the vigor of something like herbals or oils, and it can really give a lot of instruction. For those people who have very integrated systems, very good, powerful nervous systems that have all been lined up, this homeopathy, it takes just a tiny amount to have a major effect. Now, the last thing we do is we're going to take a class in what's called Holistic Medical Business and Clinical Operations. This means that we're going to try to help you understand what it's like to be in practice. We need to understand how to do basic things like set up a POS system and a bank account. How do you advertise and promote yourself? How do you have paperwork with each patient? How do you form the structure of your business? We're going to have something called a preferred member association detailed out so that you can maybe take advantage of that. There's a lot of things that go into opening a clinic. You simply can't just open your doors and hope people are going to come in and pay you, and then suddenly, oh, everything will be operating right. There's a lot to running the business. And so we're going to instruct everybody on how to do that. So there's a lot in the basic required courses that is foundational to everything that you need to know as a naturopath. Now, once you've done all 7 of these classes, we're then going to have you pick a specialization. Now, what that means is we're going to have you pick a class, a subject matter that you just thought was something that really captured your attention. You have a driving passion. You want to know more. This is going to be the area you specialize in. So I use the example of herbalism. So let's just say going through the classes, herbalism just struck you as, this is the coolest thing ever, and I want to do this as my specialization. Okay, fine. What's going to then end up happening is we're going to enroll you then in the advanced herbal course. Now, this is going to be high-level versions of herbalism. Chemistry is starting to enter into the fix. We're starting to explore herbs from around the world. Are there Amazonian herbs, Native American herbs, Chinese herbs? There's all kinds of different herbal subgroups that are special based on where they come from. Ayurvedic is another one that's very powerful. Ayurvedic herbs out there that, and maybe you need to learn about the typing that goes in with Ayurvedic herbs. So in other words, there's all kinds of advanced concepts that are thrown in here that any working herbalist would need to know. Now you, the naturopath, with an herbal specialty, would then take that into account. Now, okay, that might also apply to somebody who chooses to specialize in diet and nutrition. They're going to really get into the diet and nutrition world and really be able to have advanced knowledge on all those kinds of things, or essential oils, or homeopathy, or energetic medicine. Any one of those is a specialization possibility for somebody, and we're going to be able to basically put that person into a place where they're going to become acknowledged as an expert when they're finished up with it. So we just want the advanced course to be that thing that somebody has a real genuine passion about. Now, then we have the clinical internship. Now we're going to work with the student to, based on the subject matter that they have, maybe in their region where they live, we're going to try to find somebody nearest them that might be their mentor. That for a couple of weeks, the student would be online doing some meetings, maybe kind of talking with the staff, maybe talking with the practitioner of whatever modality is being used there. We're going to get that person to have at least a couple of weeks worth of, let's just introduce myself, let's get an idea how the clinic runs, maybe through Zoom sit in on a session with a patient who's willing to allow that to happen. But then for 2 weeks, we want that student to be in the mentor's office. We want to actually show up, be there, maybe be the fly on the wall for a while, but maybe some patient interaction, maybe some research that they could do for the practitioner, some other kinds of work and or participation. We want the student to be able to kind of feel what it's like to be in an actual setting, to be in a clinic and understand how the flow goes. How do you acknowledge the patient to invite them into the testing room? How would you then check them out and have them go out into the world? How do you make sure that they have the right dosage sheet? All these are little things, but boy, I tell you, when you see them happen from a observation point of view, when you're the person looking at this happen, you can learn a lot from that just by being there. So we'd have that person be there for 2 weeks. Now that person who's that mentor will then give us an assessment of how they thought you did and how you're learning and sort of working into the system and how well they think. And that would be your grade in that one. Now, while also doing that clinical internship, the second part of the class is the thesis. Now, the thesis is similar to what one would develop, say, in a master's course or even in a PhD course, is a 25,000 word minimum thesis. Now, you're going to pick a thesis based on your hypothesis. So if I were in the herbal specialization, I could say, I believe that the berberine compound that's found in many herbs is the best possible herbal complex to address autoimmune disorders, especially those of the kind that are Th1 dominant. You may not know what that is, but in that case, we could just then, all right, that's my thesis. Now I'm going to start investigating. I'm going to go find videos online that experts have put out there. I'm going to go find every study that I can find. I'm going to go to all the archives and look at this. I'm going to see if anybody's written a book on that I can reference. I may interview an expert and do a Zoom podcast with them and have them tell me what their expertise is on berberine as it relates to Th1 dominant autoimmune disorders. That would then become my thesis. So 25,000 words is both written, verbal, and also imported multimedia that you can put together. Now, this whole thing put together, this whole thesis, then becomes the final exam. So the board of the IHHA and any other invited experts in the field will review the material. They'll look at everything, and then we'll do probably a Zoom meeting. And at that point, then we're going to say, interview you. We're going to say, hey, you said this on page number 7. What do you feel about, and then something else related to that? And you're going to have to answer that question. You're going to be put on the spot. You're going to have to verbally defend your thesis. This is how it's been done in academia for millennia of time, is you have to become the expert in the field, and you need to be able to then defend your position. You need to be able to say, I can answer any questions about this because I've studied every aspect of it. This is also the point at which the IHHA board verifies that you haven't just done this all on ChatGPT, so or some other platform of AI that just wrote it for you. You're going to have to really know your stuff. And this is your final exam. Once done with this, you now get your naturopathic certificate from us. Now, The American Naturopathic Medical Association, the accreditation board does have quarterly exams. And there is and this would be to become a board certified naturopath versus just a naturopath. And so board certified carries a little bit more weight with it. It indicates that you've gone the extra step and that now there's a certifying board that acknowledges your expertise and that you're a valued member of the medical community. There's similar to SAT prep courses, there's a prep course for their board exam. So if you wanted to spend a little bit of extra money and time, you could go out and get this board exam done. We're going to put together study groups for those students who want to do it. We can maybe make a Facebook group and they can study, and we can maybe have some input from the instructors. So let's make sure that you know how to answer the test on when you go to it. And this is in Las Vegas every 4 months or every 3 months, 4 times a year. And this would give you the aid in becoming a board certified naturopath if that's your choice. That would be above and beyond what's required from us. This is just an extra step many people may want to take. And an additional step that some people may also want to take is what's called the clinic in a box. We at the IHHA are very in tune with many other product companies, testing companies, device manufacturers, and we have been through the ringer, as it were, of developing our own clinics. And we are the people who've been at it. I've been in business 23 years, and I've seen a lot of different things come up in the business world that I've had to deal with. We want to pass those things on to you. So you have the option upon graduation to buy a clinic in a box setting. Now that may be variable. There's all kinds of different versions of this based on what's going to be included with it. But the basics of a clinic in a box are we're going to send a representative to where you are. And that representative is going to help you open bank accounts, get a POS system, get your insurance set up, make sure you have your PMA locked in, all the printed materials you need, forms you need, maybe work with you on your lease of a space if that's what you're going to choose to do, how to get your devices all set up and maybe make some custom lists based on your specialization. Make sure you have product companies accounts so that you can then order product and then get the wholesale pricing, how to order labs. All these different things need to be done so that day one, when you open, you're ready to go and you don't have to scramble to suddenly come up with, I don't know how to do this. I'll tell you that from my experience, I graduated from naturopathic school and they just said, okay, great, go practice. And I had to figure it all out myself. We want you to not have to do that, but rather we want to help you get it all set. So we will have a number of possible setups, and the graduate can choose to purchase one of those setups from us, and we can come in and help you get a big jump start on business, getting your clinic open. And we also want to welcome you to, hey, now you're a naturopath, and now you're a person who's recognized as a real expert in the natural healthcare world. And we are at the IHHA interested in you now as a colleague, as a compatriot. We want to see what you could offer to the world in general in terms of, hey, maybe you're a good participant, maybe you're a good teacher, maybe you could come up with a CEU course on a subject matter that you're really into. So using that the earlier herbalism specialization. Maybe you have this new herb that nobody knows about and you want to introduce it to everybody. Well, there's a class. Or maybe on herbal combining. How do you make a blend of herbs? That's going to be a class. Well, we can put it on our platform. The IHHA platform is something that we can put any class we want on it. And everybody who wants to take your class, they sign up for it. And now suddenly you're an instructor with us. As long as you've got that naturopathic certificate, you are qualified. So at that point, we'd love to have you come in with us, become an expert. We're planning on putting together clinical studies. We're planning on doing excursions to areas where we could maybe study some natural medicine. We have a good friend of ours who might introduce us to some Amazonian herbs if we were to all go down to the Amazon and see the herbs, one-on-one. There's other possibilities like that within that world. So there's all kinds of things that we can do. Hey, come join the IHHA, be one of us, and let's expand our group, expand our knowledge base, and all get together and really make this a big thing. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope that this answers your questions and gives you ideas and inspiration to join the IHHA, enter our academy, get your naturopathic certificate, and let's get out there and help people. Thank you.